Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense, or MIMS as I'm called. Guys, this story was too crazy for me not to come and bring it to you. Wendy is getting exposed by everybody. Her production staff, her former, Deb and Mercury, the people who she teamed up with for the Wendy Williams Show. The crazy part is, why is it happening now? Why are we seeing this now? Her show is over. The Sherri Shepherd show is coming on. So it begs to reason, maybe we're seeing this now in preparation for the Sherri Shepherd show. Another thing is, people, you're probably going to be mad that the staff exposed her like this. But one way I think about this is, still, she was people's boss. And if she was doing all the things we're about to cover, because we're going to read this, if she was doing all the things that we're about to cover, she may not have been the best boss to these people. And even though we saw them as like the Wendy Williams family, sometimes your boss is just your boss. So while I'm reading this, have an open mind, but they did not hold back. I've shown you guys the recent videos of Wendy where she's not looking too well. This is ridiculous. I'm supposed to be watching Beverly Hills. I went and printed this out. I don't have a printer. I went to the library. We're gonna read this. So y'all go ahead and grab your drink, because I already did. And let's get to this. Wendy Williams exposed again. This is horrible. They need to leave Wendy alone at this point. I see you guys in the chat. What's up, Karen Huger's wig? Y'all, remember, this is the dude whose video I showed you guys. Super funny, new YouTuber, definitely worth a subscribe. I see AT2 and Kadi in the building. Other YouTubers, subscribe to them as well. But y'all, we got to get into this. It says, on the morning of September 30th, 2021, two television executives made their way to Wendy Williams' apartment in downtown Manhattan. As the longtime producers of the Wendy Williams Show, Debmar Mercury, co-presidents Mark Marcus and Ira Bernstein, were trying to assuage the fears of the talk show's 100-person staff, who they knew were reading about Wendy Williams' health struggles in the press. So 2021, if you guys remember, we still thought that Wendy was coming back. We really thought that this woman was coming back, but if they're having to go visit her, that's not a good look. It says already the promotional tour that she had scheduled for the 13th season had been scuttled, and its official September 20th start date was pushed back. The plan was to have Williams piped in via Zoom to the show's studio in New York City because the staff had questions. We all had questions, Wendy. We have all been having questions, Wendy. So her then manager, Bernie, whose job had morphed into liaison for Wendy Williams' test and doctor's visits. So the idea was, look, they haven't seen you or spoken to you, so let's do this for the staff and let everybody know where things are. The 58-year-old host, whose catchphrase, "How you doing?" became a rallying cry for daytime gossip hounds, appeared to be in good spirits when Young arrived at her apartment at 8 a.m. You know, they say at 8 a.m. she hasn't had a drink yet. Now, let me put my allegedly banner up. But they're saying that the reason that we see her in the daytime kind of like less than lucid is because by then she's had a drink. Allegedly. All this is alleged. All this is alleged, except I'm getting this from the Hollywood Reporter, so this ain't alleged. But everything I say that's shady, it might be, it's alleged. It's alleged. Hey, everybody, I see y'all in the chat. Buckle up, y'all. The two had rehearsed what she would say in a handful of times, and Young, who worked closely with Rosie O'Donnell and Martha Stewart before Williams, was feeling good about what was about to transpire. At 10 a.m., some 50 staffers, many of whom had worked at the Wendy Williams Show, had rifled on live TV for 12 years. Before that, on the radio, did not seem herself. Williams, who had riffed live on TV for 12 years and before that on radio, did not seem herself, according to multiple people present, much less able to communicate a clear message, as her speech quickly became muddled and disconnected. Y'all, I've shown you guys that. She gets on and starts rambling about, I'm really fine. It's going to be fine. It's like, what are you saying? Recounts one bewildered insider. Now, y'all, they're saying insider because these people refuse to give their names. Go figure, right? Recounts one bewildered insider who suggests she was starting to not be coherent. Aware that their plan was backfiring, the executives thanked everyone for their time and ended the Zoom abruptly. Y'all, I'm going to say this, not being shady at all. If they know that Wendy is struggling, why? It's about money, of course. I answered my own question. They're trying to push her out in front of the staff and the audience because she's still making them money, but she's clearly not well enough to do this. If you, as the producer and creator of the show, can't actually have a conversation with her, that should tell you that she should have been put on pause. Oh, wait, I got a super chat. Thank you so much, Sassy Girl. I appreciate it. And y'all, yeah, like the video. Definitely like the video ASAP so we can get this message to as many people as possible. You like the video, YouTube sees that, they push my video. So go ahead and like it. We got about 60 some people in here. Hey Norris, hey Shane. Okay, it lasted 2.5, 3 minutes and it was not pretty, said Lonnie Bernstein, Debmar Mercury's executive BP programming, who had been seated in the studio with the show's staff. Y'all, they put her in front of the staff and it only lasted 2 minutes. What's up, Lamar? People were sort of freaked out. She was saying things like, oh, I can't wait. I'll be back really soon. But it was obvious to anyone watching that she was not going to be back really soon. Instead, a revolving door of guest hosts filled in for the remainder of the year. By February, with Williams effectively AWOL, Debmar Mercury decided it had no choice but to announce the 13th of the Wendy Williams Show would be its last. Williams first sparked fears for her health in 2017 when she fainted live on air during the Halloween episode of the Wendy Williams Show. Thank you so much. She says, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, you gonna get off my birthday twin. It's not me, y'all. This is fresh off the presses. I'm telling you, I was at work working and I just so happened to go to Yahoo because, as Shan says, I'm still the only person with Yahoo email, and this was front and center. And I was like, I could not wait to get home to do this with you guys. It says Williams first sparked fear for her health in 2017 when she fainted live on air during the Halloween episode of the Wendy Williams Show. After an emergency commercial break, she regained consciousness and told her fiercely loyal audience of Wendy. Okay. Over the next 4 years, the woman who rose to fame dishing the unvarnished truth about others had become her own hottest topic. Nothing, it seemed, was off limits, which only endeared her to the audience. True. We're all fans. You were looking. That podcast does not ever happen. And if they do, whoever put her in front of a microphone and just tell her to talk should go to hell. That's horrible if they're going to do that to that woman, because she's clearly not well enough to do that. You're hearing right now what was going on in her job. Nothing seemed off limits, which only endeared her to the audience. From her famous purple chair, Williams spoke openly and unapologetically about her ongoing struggles with substance abuse, revealing through the years in 2019 that she had been staying in a sober living facility. Before that, the host had done time at a high-end rehab in Florida, which, according to Marcus and Bernstein, was paid for by Debmar Mercury. Now, why did they have to throw that in? This woman has made millions of dollars. Why would they need to throw in that they paid for her rehab? Like, that's some big, I don't know. It almost feels like they're trying to sway the audience. I don't know. Williams also discussed on the show the demise of her marriage of 20 plus years to Kevin Hunter and the baby he was having with his mistress, and later revisited both in her sanctioned Lifetime documentary, Wendy Williams, What a Mess. Hunter, who had been Williams' manager and producers on the show, was fired from the latter in April 2019, a week after the host filed for divorce earlier this year. He filed a wrongful termination suit against Denmark Mercury. Now, y'all, Wendy didn't tell us that. Tasha told us that. Tasha broke that story, and then Wendy just had to confirm. That was one of my big things with Wendy. The fact that she was in everybody's business, but when it came to hers, it was like off limits until it was already out there. She didn't mention this till the baby had already popped out. Behind the scenes, insiders say Wendy was unraveling. Everybody on that staff and crew witnessed all kinds of things. According to two more, during that 4-year period, producers sent pre-show text messages to higher-ups at the company questioning Williams' sobriety on at least 25 separate occasions. So Wendy comes out 25 times, the producers. I don't know if that was old boy with the yellow teeth or that woman who used to work for Martha Stewart who laughed all the time. You could put it in, is it Norman, Sherman, whatever. They were texting the higher up saying they think that she's drunk. And those at the top would then have to make an ultra quick judgment call on whether to go live at 10 a.m., which those sources say was typically complicated until later in the week. Was typically complicated by until later in the week, giving the execs times to rewatch the hour to see if Williams appeared inebriated. In all but one case, it was decided that she seemed fine enough and the episodes aired as planned. So basically, the higher-ups had to look and see if Wendy was even okay to do the show because she was drunk. And most times she was okay enough to do the show, but one time they had to pull the plug on a live taping. That's crazy. Oh, Norman. Okay. I was right, Norman. Not a Wendy fan, but just here for the mess. It's messy. This is messy. Pulling the plug on your live show, wow. The exception occurred in the spring of 2021, and a repeat ran in its place. One of those sources adds that the staff, this is juicy in the worst way possible. One of the sources adds that the staffers would find bottles of alcohol up in the ceiling tiles and other weird places in the office. Yikes. That sounds like Kim Richards when she was filming Beverly Hills. They said one party she was going to the bathroom all the time. It's because she had hid bottles of liquor in several of the bathrooms in this mansion that they were filming in. That's really sad. Williams declined to comment directly for this piece, but spokeswoman Sean Zanotti notes in an email, "It has been no secret that Wendy has battled with addiction over the years. But at this time, Wendy is on the road to recovery and healing herself from a chronic illness and her grievances of the past." Asked about incidents involving her physical and mental health, Zanotti declined to comment on specifics, writing, "We do know is that Wendy has a history of chronic illness and she has publicly spoken about it." So basically, they're not denying any of these claims. By the summer of 2022, Williams was in and out of hospitals and doctors' care, according to multiple sources who are not comfortable discussing her health publicly. Many initially assumed substance abuse was solely to blame, but per those same sources, it became clear that there were other health issues at play. Soon Williams, who's been open about her battles with Graves' disease and lymphedema, was being whisked from one expert to the next, as medical professionals tried to figure out what was causing symptoms like nonlinear speech. Young, who had replaced Hunter as Williams' manager in 2029, remained optimistic. Part of it, he acknowledged, is his general outlook, and with Marcus and Bernstein's help, he had her in front of the top doctors in Manhattan. So at least they were trying to get her help, but at this point, they know that it's bad. And I definitely think they should have put her show on pause to see. You don't just push somebody who's sick and unable to do it out like they're like a dancing dog or something. If they could just figure out what was wrong, they could help her get back on track. Plus, he says, she got sick the year before and she was very sick one day and the next day she was 300% better. So while they're searching for answers, I'm saying that it could happen. Now, y'all, I think this is her new manager who we saw her boot up with. I'm going to do a video on him, but she claims that that's not her husband. But once she hired him, dude was just a jeweler. He was not in management at all. we'll get into that on another video. Back at the show, the staff was focused on launching season 13. A promo shoot was scheduled for September 2nd, which would focus on the number 13. It's such a random, scary number for a lot of people. So we had an idea of an elevator with the 13th floor, and it opens up to our stage, and it's like, oh, okay, that's actually stupid. Just come out and give us some hot topics. With the set already built, Lewis and the team revised the plan, sticking Williams' iconic purple chair in the elevator instead. A week later, the host bailed on her promotional appearances too. You cannot bail on your emotional appearances before your season starts, y'all. A statement was posted to the show's social feeds. Williams dealing with some ongoing health issues and would need to undergo further evaluations. I think we thought, shoot, this is a little unexpected and we're going to have to pivot, recalls Deborah Mercury executive. But I don't think at that point we thought that the show was even going to launch September 20th. The woman is skipping everything and passing out on stage. And you think that the show, y'all, Shin says, a jeweler. Exactly. Wendy's new manager is a jeweler. And sometimes there's pictures of her being hugged up, but I'm going to do another video on that. The things went from bad to worse. Photos of William walking the city streets in blue hospital booties began flooding the internet. A few days later, reports of her being hospitalized for a psychiatric evaluation followed. It had become clear. Now, I didn't know that. I knew that she had been hospitalized. I didn't know it was like one of those 5150 holds. I'm reading this with you guys so that you can get my reaction and I can hear y'all's. If I wasn't so busy, I would have read it at lunch. But we're here together. It had become clear internally that they would need to push the season premiere by a couple weeks, but Lewis and the show's PR team were still trying to figure out what exactly they'd say. Then Williams came down with C19. It was one of those moments where it was like, oh no, now she's got that. But at least there's something instead of, we don't know what to tell you. We were like, so they were basically happy that she got sick because they couldn't keep saying she has ongoing health issues. That's low-key disgusting. We were like, we're doing the Q word for 2 weeks, and that gave us a little bit of breathing room. On September 30th, an hour before the ill-fated staff Zoom, the show's social channels announced yet another 2-week delay, noting that Williams was under a doctor's care note. The stations had been plenty patient up until then. Now a new plan was needed. They started calling saying, guys, if you don't put on new episodes, we're going to pull it. So what could we do? We started saying, now this, I actually do feel bad for them because that show that employs 100 people. That's 100 people's livelihood that is being put in jeopardy. So the big wigs, I know they're just trying to make money, but the low people, the low staff, the low paying staff, I'm feeling bad for them at this point because they don't know if they're going to have a job. We started saying, let's just do a couple of weeks of guest hosts until she's better. For the first hour, 5, 6, 8 weeks, we think we're putting a Band-Aid on it and Wendy's coming back. Producing the Wendy Williams Show without Wyndham was never going to be easy, in part because Williams had established such a fervent fan base over 12 seasons and an eternity in syndicated television. She's been described as either morning TV's resident gal pal or its bomb thrower, and both her ratings, a top 3 show in daytime's core female demo, and her salary, about $6 million a year, that's it? Y'all can put in the chat, don't you think Wendy should have been making more than $6 million? I thought she was making a lot more than that. I mean, she was doing the show every day, and it was a top show, and it was just her show. I think Whoopi makes $5 million on The View, and she has to split that with like 5 other people. I mean, the salaries have to be split, but Whoopi makes $5 million on The View, so that seems low. She famously tussled with plenty of the stars, from Whitney Houston to Lil' Kim in her shock doc days, outed others as gay, all under the headline, I don't know, that's show business. Okay. The first call to a guest host went to Leah Remini, whose reps had reached out earlier that summer to gauge Debmar Mercury's interest in her as a host for her own show. Nobody's into that. Nobody's into that. I got a super chat. It says, thank you, Sassy Girl. She says, thanks, Mims, for bringing great content to your platform. I appreciate it. I'm reading this with you guys. So I'm just as shocked at some of these allegations. Oh, did I put my allegedly? Okay, good. I got my allegedly banner up. I could roughly see a cute 9 or 12. Exactly. Robin Roberts makes 18 million and Wendy was only doing 6. And I wonder how much of that 6 went to Kevin. Okay, let's keep pushing. That's what her husband got her, not shocked. Exactly. She hired an idiot. All these women like Nicki Minaj who gets married to some random dude and then hires them to be their manager. Monique, all these powerful women do that. I understand keeping the money in the family, but if your husband doesn't have actually any management experience in the entertainment industry, that seems kind of crazy. Y'all, okay. Tosh is looking for a breakdown. Y'all let her know in the chat. Right now, we're talking about Wendy Williams. They didn't expose this woman in the last few weeks of her show, and we're getting it all. She was in so long as she could bring her pal Michelle Visage. Y'all, we don't really care about them. We got Whitney Cummings, Vivica Fox, Sherry Shepherd. No one popped in the ratings like Sherry Shepherd. However, a comic, an actress, and a former host of The View, whose rep had inquired about the opportunity at the top of the season. So basically, Sherry Shepherd wanted her own show. It had nothing to do with Wendy. It had absolutely, so all the people attacking her as if she took the show, no. She was already in talks to get her own show. Had come close on a talk show a few years earlier. So the executives there were well versed in her capabilities and happily added her to the lineup. Several more names were pitched by the managers, but they'd never done the show before. They weren't people who would excite the stations. And at that point, it was about keeping the stations happy as much as, if not more so, than keeping the viewer happy. We were battling for the life of the show. Wendy comes with a stink to it. It's the same reason for the 12 years preceding we struggled to book guests. Why are they reading Wendy? Like, if you're going to give your opinion, why you got to say this woman stank? Y'all, she was tough on many celebrities and a lot of celebrities hate her. It's also why she had success. She's no holds bars, but even people who were interested in doing a talk show wanted no part of hosting it. Wow. As daunting as the arrangement was for the staff, which was effectively producing a new pilot every week, live and in the middle of we're not gonna say that word. It was arguably more so for the host. We were asking them to sit in that purple chair for up to 25 minutes by themselves or sometimes with the co-host they'd never worked with or met before and deliver for the Wendy audience, which is loyal, who like many still marvels at Wendy's ability to simply riff for extended periods of time on live television. Now, y'all, Wendy's one of the best to ever do it. People can say whatever they want about this woman, but she is one of the best to ever do what she did. Almost nobody can go out and do what Wendy did, just off the cuff like that, which was maybe her most immense talent. All the while, producers waited on a word from her, which came from Young, who was by Williams' side until Thanksgiving. Right around that time, the host took off for Florida to be closer to her family, including her college-age son, Kevin Hunter Jr., her brother, her sister, and even her ex, who declined to comment for this story. Now, this is the first time Kevin then decided to decline. Her family wanted to take over and do things that they wanted to do for her. And with her, it's like, all right, okay, look, I don't agree. Look at the progress. Any communications Young had with Williams ended shortly after. Marcus and Bernstein were no longer able to reach her either. Williams' cell phone would simply ring and ring and ring. In fact, it wasn't clear she still had a phone at all. Wow. As much as they, like Debmar Mercury, were eager for Williams to return, renewing the maybe Wendy Williams show was not an option. At a certain point, you can't really play what if. You do have to answer. Executive VP program for TV Fox says you do have to have an answer. Debmar Mercury made its plan official. The Wendy Williams show would end with 13 seasons that spring, and a new show from Shepherd would launch in its time slot. The announcement paid homage to Williams, who it called a true icon, and praised her successor Shepherd as a natural. Y'all remember when Wendy said that Sherry Shepherd didn't have the right look for television? Later that day, Howard Bragman, a crisis PR specialist who Young had roped in September, released a statement on Williams' behalf, suggesting that the outgoing host understands and is incredibly grateful to Debmar Mercury, to Sherry Shepherd, and everybody else who supported her through this time. Within hours, A new Instagram feed for Williams had clapped back. Mr. Bragman, although I appreciate your concerns and respect you immensely, I have not authorized you to make any statements on my behalf regarding my status with Debmar Mercury. I remember when that happened, y'all. I was like, yes, Wendy. She ain't that sick. The off-screen drama didn't end there. Bragman posted to his own social account. I'm not honestly convinced of the source of that social media post. So when my old friend Wendy FaceTimes me personally, and we alone have a chance to discuss recent events, together we can figure out the best path forward. Asked about the back and forth, current spokesperson maintains that Bragman did not have permission to put out statements on Williams' behalf. That was a mic drop from Wendy. Marcus and Bernstein didn't know when or if they would hear from Williams again. Then one day in late February, or maybe it was early March, Bernstein's phone rang. What was all this about her show being canceled? William wondered. I said, we haven't heard from you, and we had to make a decision. We should have made one in November. Well, we pushed it to January or February, and by then it was like, make a decision or lose the time period. She said, well, what's going to air at 10 o'clock? I told her, Sherry's going to air at 10 o'clock. So can I go on at 11? Like she has no sense of what's going on in reality. I said, we love to work with you, and there's lots of ways and lots of buyers, but you need to come back, and we need to know that you're okay. You can't just call after 9 months and say, I'm ready. Y'all, this is not looking good for Wendy. A version of this conversation would take place several more times over the next 4 months. There were multiple phone calls, sometimes with Bernstein, sometimes with Marcus, and a sit-down lunch in Manhattan. Each time, according to the pair, Williams appeared to be having the discussion for the first time. So she's having the same conversation over and over again. Marcus fielded her next call, and as Bernstein had stressed, the importance of Williams getting cleared by a doctor before she'd be able to return to TV in any meaningful capacity. We said, Wendy, we need to have a diagnosis from a doctor. Whether it's the TV stations or a network or a new producer, anyone who's going to do business with you after you didn't show up for a year needs to know you're okay. Without that assurance, no one's going to risk money or finance things. We found out about that with Lindsay Lohan. She was a big star, but she was so much of a liability. In order to produce a TV show, in order to produce a movie, you have to have insurance. If you're too big of a risk, they won't insure you. So then it doesn't matter if you're the best actress in the world. They're not going to hire you. Same thing applies for television stations. Unfortunately for Wendy, the happiest moments in her life were on TV. She said to me once at a Christmas party, you know when I'm happiest? 10 a.m., Monday to Friday. And she was great at it, he says. All the while, the team around Wendy that's actually kind of sad. I mean, it makes sense that that's her happiest times because she's in control. And we know that I feel personally like she had an abusive relationship, but the show was hers to control and do. And we loved Wendy. People would schedule their lunch around that show. Okay. All the while, the team around Williams kept changing. At one point, Williams enlisted LaShawn Thomas, an attorney with close ties to her ex, leaving many to speculate about the latter's role. Why would you hire somebody that's cool with Kevin? Thomas, who identifies as Hunter's lawyer for entertainment industry-related matters, tells that she was brought on by Williams to help her in her legal fight with Wells Fargo, which had frozen her accounts earlier this year. Before the case was sealed, the bank claimed that Williams was an incapacitated person and the victim of undue influence and financial expectation. All these things might be true, but your bank shouldn't be able to determine that. Like I said before, if a person is poor, y'all aren't concerned if they have mental health issues, but because they have so many millions in the bank and you need those millions to loan to other people, you're concerned whether somebody is mentally capable of controlling their finances. That makes absolutely no sense, but that's an asinine New York law. It's not everywhere. Basically, the banks can take your money if they don't feel you're in the right sound mind. Give me my money. I want my money. Exactly. Um, y'all, I see y'all are clowning in the chat. I definitely see y'all are clowning in this chat. Go back here. Young says he read in the tabloids that he'd been fired. Oh, I'm sorry. And the victim of undoing. By May, a New York judge had appointed a guardian over her finances, an arrangement that would continue until at least July. According to Thomas and others, Williams' financial guardianship has since been extended, though she was prohibited by the judge overseeing the matter from representing Williams because of a conflict of interest. Young says he read in the tabloids that he'd been fired. To this day, he insists that nobody's actually said as much to him. Are you still getting a check? Because if you're not getting a check, you've been fired. I saw that and said, okay, looks like there's other things to clean up. I think I'm a good person and a good businessman. I'll take care of the business that I need to take care of until it's not there to take care of, which is what I've done, which is what I'm doing. How are you being paid? If there are loose ends, if there are questions that I do, it's not a problem. When I say I'm in, I'm in. But if I'm out, look me in the eye and tell me I'm out. That makes no sense. He's probably in cahoots with the banks. By March, Williams had taken to Instagram to accuse Young of charging $10,000 to her American Express card without her consent to hire an attorney to file a petition against her. He took $10,000 out of her account to hire an attorney to file a petition against Wendy. So she's paying to file petitions against herself. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Young confirms he spent the money to hire Abrams, a leading mental health lawyer. So 2 points, Wendy. She was probably right. Whose official bio says she specializes in guiding families through the complex landscape of legal issues that impact loved ones with serious mental illness and or substance abuse issues. His goal, he tells THR, was to protect Williams. As for the reports that he filed a petition, I don't know what that is. Y'all, he literally was hired an attorney to make sure that Kevin, little Kevin, everybody in the family was taken care of. That's the same thing they did to Brittany. I got a story coming up about Brittany too. I'm going to do a short about Brittany because I feel she's being exposed and exploited. In the interim, the role of Williams' manager has been filled by William Selby, a high-end jeweler. This is what I was telling you guys about. This jeweler that is her new manager they're thinking that this is her boo/husband because y'all know she says she's married. A high-end jeweler who says he met the host through a DJ 5 or 6 years ago. As Selby tells it, he had helped her procure some diamonds and the two remained tight. When he started to see others in her purple chair this past season, he stepped in. Wendy's a very strong woman. She's positive and optimistic. So in her head, she's thinking she's going to get better and everything's going to go back to normal. And I was just looking at it from a business standpoint and saying, hey, it does look too good. So let's start thinking about some other options. It's like a baseball player after the NBA. What are you going to do? I'm sorry, he said basketball player after the NBA. What are you going to do? You've got to think about it. The pair have been busy with a few projects, including a restaurant and a podcast, the Wendy Williams Experience. This man has absolutely no experience in management. Absolutely. He's a jeweler, and we don't even know if he sells real jewelry. Anybody could be a jeweler in New York. If you're not in the diamond district, are you even a jeweler? Per Selby, there will be audio-visual components to the latter, and ideally Williams will have friends like Fat Joe, Andy Cohen. Please don't put this woman on a podcast. Please do not put this woman on a podcast until she is well enough to do so. Williams began teasing the new ventures in a series of bizarre interviews this spring. You guys, so we're almost done here. I'm going to drop the link. We're not going to be on forever, but I'm going to finish reading this article because it's too good, and I promised you guys I would. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. During the live TMZ interview, she spoke erratically and at times aimlessly. Halfway through, she also revealed that her lymphedema had caused her to lose 95% of her feeling in her feet, a point that she drove home by holding up a swollen, discolored limb. Viewers were left perplexed and saddened, and many of her former colleagues were horrified. You just don't put somebody like that on live. It was total exploitation. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They are exploiting this woman. Even Selby acknowledged that those early interviews were a little shaky, though, and he's learned trying to muzzle his client is a fool's errand. Selby later walked back, telling Page Six that his client was in a new relationship, but probably got carried away in conversation and was not married. So y'all remember, Jason Lee came out and said that this woman was married. Then this manager came back and said she's not married. And then Jason called Wendy back on live. I showed you guys that and said, I am married. Now, we don't know who she's married to, but a little bit later, I'll try to show you guys the video where she was saying it looked like she was out of it. She was in her car, showing these boys on the street her diamonds and saying he's in there to go get something. We don't know who he is. Sometimes Wendy's on videos and she doesn't know where she's at. Y'all, this is a lot. She's an adult. I can't lock her in the house and say, don't move. Don't even look out the window. This isn't prison, Selby says, urging fans to have patience with Williams, even as photos of her asleep in a Louis Vuitton. Now, I showed you guys that. Photos asleep in a Louis Vuitton store or dueling out worrisome interviews out of a car window, the one I just told you about. I'm going through so many things. She's going to have moments. Doesn't mean she's about to DIE. Doesn't mean she's going crazy. It just means maybe she's not feeling well today. Selby continues, insisting that he genuinely cares about Williams, even if others seem to doubt him. I know everyone thinks that we're all trying to take advantage of her. We do think you're trying to take advantage of her. What I don't understand is, don't I look rich? What? You're thinking that because you look rich, whatever that means, that you can't be taking advantage of somebody else? Like rich people don't take advantage of people who are in Wendy Williams' state? Okay. Why would I come into Wendy's life to take advantage of her? For her money. I don't have the time for that, he says. So no one's trying to make her do anything that she doesn't want to do. She wants to work right now. I'm the one saying, hey, Wendy, let's wait. Let's assess. And if you really feel 100%, let's do it. So he's trying to say that he's not pushing her out in front of the cameras. There wasn't exactly a handbook for such thing. We knew we really didn't want it like an in memoriam because she's very much alive. At the same time, we're going to do this huge countdown with celebrity balloons because it didn't feel celebratory. One of the many ideas proposed was simply to air the final episode without any acknowledgement that it was the last one. Ultimately, the group decided the best way to honor Williams and her legacy was a feel-good highlight reel from her 12 seasons. So now we're at the point where they're trying to say they didn't even know how they were going to do the last Wendy Williams show. When the 7-minute tape was first screened for the executive team, there were a few dry eyes, which was never seriously considered, however, was bringing Williams back for the final show. So they never had any intentions of Wendy coming back for her final show. Like, at this point, I don't even think they invited her. To put her on as a guest or to do a video message from her would be a disservice to Wendy, who is much bigger than that, says one producer who would speak only on the condition of anonymity. Plus, the executives agreed that she was not in a position to appear on TV. Even the stations, which likely knew they'd pop a big rating with Williams back in the chair, didn't push. Williams and her ex have since blasted the choice in the press. Now, Wendy, if you're not well enough to do the show, why would they push you out to be embarrassed? That wouldn't even make any sense. Because we would be looking at them the same way we're looking at your manager who's trying to convince you that you need a podcast. Let's see. I wish Wendy would stop taking medication that doesn't have to do with her treatment of her documented medical condition. I mean, I don't really know what she's on, but I'm inclined to believe that there's something there, and then I do think there's probably some substance abuse. Just my opinion. The team wanted to be sensitive to Shepard too, and having Williams return even to say goodbye would have been incredibly awkward. It would have stolen the spotlight, and at this point, our chips are all on Sherry. So this is real talk, y'all. At this point, what they're saying is they didn't want to have anybody else on. They literally did not want to have Wendy kind of outshine Sherry. And they had, wow, at least they're being honest. Shepard would soon be unfairly blamed for a series of moves outside of her control, including Denmark Mercury's decision to remove the Wendy Williams YouTube channel and its social accounts, which Lewis attributes to a rights and clearance issue. That somehow Shepard had stolen Williams' show or her social followers became narratives in certain corners of the internet as well. It honestly wouldn't have mattered who we chose, because it isn't actually about Sherry, except now she's taking the brunt and she shouldn't. The day before the final show, Williams is said to have caught a promo on Fox. She called me like, wait a minute, what do you mean it's canceled? So Wendy had no idea that her show was canceled, even though they told her her show was canceled. What are you talking about? Says Marcus. Who would have the same heartbreaking conversation once more? So he's having to repeat the whole conversation where he told her that her show was done. Selby believes that his clients didn't think that the show was actually ending at that point. No matter how many people could have told her, you could have told her, I could have told her, she's thinking, I'll be ready in a week and I'm coming to shoot. Now that's sad, y'all. That's really sad. So it kind of happened all of a sudden for her, even though it was unraveling before her eyes. At 10 a.m. on June 17th, Williams sat in her downtown Manhattan apartment watching the Wendy Williams show air for the last time. Before the tribute reel rolled, Shepard thanked the incredible staff, almost all of whom will be staying with her on the talk. Looking right into the camera, she added, "You're an icon, and you are loved by so many." Through thunderous applause, she repeated, "So many." Right then, the studio audience rose to its feet and began chanting, "Wendy, Wendy, Wendy." Once it was all over, the entire staff filed into the studio audience, where a series of speeches and toasts began. Marcus and Bernstein both fought back tears as they reminded those who gathered, many of whom had been there from the start, how special the Wendy Williams show had been for them too, in part because it was the first original show that Denmark Mercury ever did. "We practically bet our houses on it," says Bernstein, "and we just wanted to thank everyone for hanging in there." No, that's important. We just think the Wendy Williams show and Kevin Hunter. We forget a lot of times the fact that it takes a lot. People did not want Wendy on television. I'm telling you, I followed Wendy's career. I loved her on the radio. I loved her on the Wendy Williams Experience on VH1. I used to see her on the red carpets. People didn't want to talk to her. Wendy Williams was like a pariah. Wendy Williams' saving grace is that we loved Wendy Williams. That was her saving grace. Nothing else. If the people did not love her, I guarantee you she never would have got any guests. And if you guys remember, her first guest was like Omarosa or some trash reality star that nobody really cared about. She parlayed that and just her gift of gab into amassing one of the top talk shows. And that's not easy to do in daytime talk when celebrities don't want to talk to you. So what do you do when celebrities don't want to talk to you? You talk about them. And that's what Wendy did. And that's what made her great. But it wasn't just Wendy alone. It was also Denmark Mercury. And we just wanted to thank everyone for hanging in there. Jewett also remembers most in the room crying that day. "I've been working in daytime for over 30 years, and lightning in a bottle like Wendy Williams doesn't come through very often." She says, fighting back tears in her retelling. "And I think I can speak for everybody in saying that we all feel so lucky to have been there for the ride. So yeah, the final show was really hard, and it was really hard to a large degree, but Wendy wasn't there." Y'all, this was a lot. She did make a way and have to give credit to Kevin as well. I'm not giving Kevin nothing. Kevin was a low-level, we'll just say, dealer. He didn't do anything for her, and in fact, he was a liability for her. Oh, what's up, Naomi? I'm gonna drop the link one more time. If you guys don't want to come up, that's fine. I'll just finish out with my thoughts on this. I'll say this much. I don't think that Wendy deserves some of the stuff that they're saying. I think that expectations of her are extremely high because it's Wendy Williams. But in the grand scheme of things, she's still a sick woman. And if you know she's sick, why would you take the time to really put this out? Some of this stuff, like, it's salacious. So it makes me really think that this was done in an attempt to open up the season for Sherry Shepherd. And Sherry doesn't deserve that. I'll be watching. I don't know if you guys, you can put in the chat if you'll be watching. I'm going to give Sherry a chance because this is on Wendy. The cognitive decline, the substance abuse, all this stuff, that's on Wendy. It has nothing to do. There's always going to be somebody in that time slot. So the fact that Sherry rose to the occasion and did good on the Wendy Williams show, I don't understand why people are so upset or mad with her as if there was something else that she was supposed to do. Like she took Wendy's spot. This spot was Wendy's and Wendy's alone, and Wendy lost it. Now, this article, it tells us that they don't know if it was just the alcohol, the drugs, or if there is something else. They're saying that they're thinking that it's all of the above, and that, again, is all on Wendy. I do not think that it's right to expect that Sherry Shepherd should not have done that show. Why shouldn't she have done that show? Any celebrity in their right mind who wants a talk show would take that spot. It doesn't make any sense to expect that she would say, oh, no, that's Wendy's. Wendy can barely walk. Let me see if I can find the video. I'm going to show you guys. I had shown you this video when I did one of my shorts. I'll probably do something else on it, like some short form content on this exact same story. But I'm going to show you what Wendy has been going through every day just walking on the street. It's pretty sad. Let me share this screen with you guys. I really do not understand what people expect of Sherry Shepherd. Oh, wait, there's mine. Y'all hit the like button. I'm giving you guys content. I'm not even watching Beverly Hills for this because I don't think anybody else on the net is actually reading you guys that are. I don't know if anybody else has even discussed it. Wendy Williams walking barefoot in robe. Oh, wait, Diva. Deborah Mercury. Okay. Oh, Diva's killing it. I love her. You guys subscribe to Gray Hair Diva. I was on her channel yesterday. This lady is hilarious and one of the sweetest ladies. I want to see Wendy Williams walking on the street. Nope, I showed you guys that. Here we go.
Very well, thanks. So my American Express is broken, so I got to take care of that. Where am I flying? It's not where I'm flying.
Right.
I apologize.
Y'all, she just said, where am I flying? This is not where I'm flying. It's a car. She's getting into a car asking, where am I flying?
How do
That's
I
all
look?
right. You look great. Yes, phenomenal. How's
Okay,
great?
clearly I look 30.
You
Nice.
look great, Wendy. We love you.
Now that low-key reminded me when she was hitting on the brat and the brat wasn't having it. And she kept saying, you would date me. And the brat was like, nah. You think I'm attractive? Nah. I'm just trying to be your friend. I think that hurt Wendy's feelings low-key though.
You do. How's that? Can we see the ring, Wendy?
Over the shoulder, Wendy.
Poor Wendy. I feel really bad for her in these moments. Like, I wish that she was in a building that...
Go back. We already did that. Where are we going? What is it for? TMZ.
Now, that's the jeweler I was telling you guys about. That's her jeweler turned manager. What manager doesn't know what media outlets are? And Wendy doesn't actually know if that's TMZ or not. She's just saying that. Like, the blind leading the blind, y'all.
Is he your husband, Wendy?
I don't know what she's texting, what she's calling. I don't know what's going on.
Why is he going out talking to these photographers? It makes no sense. Like, there's nothing that he said that was a soundbite. There's nothing that he said that would push her narrative further. It's somebody looking for attention. This is the third time she's trying to walk to her town car, y'all.
Have a nice day, Wendy.
Y'all, it's sad. There's not even a joke included in that. This is sad. I don't think that I've seen somebody decline like this in front of our TVs. I can't think of another person who we've seen go through this type of decline. Oh, what's up, Trent? Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. Even though Trent doesn't like my new song. We should play it for Trent, y'all. We should play my theme song for Trent. It's sad to watch. She was saying to her, I know you used to be like me. Y'all, okay. I'm not gonna keep you guys. I just wanted to get this story out. It's a lot. I feel bad for Wendy. Doesn't really matter. I'm not one of those people. I believe in God, not in karma. And I don't put anything past anybody to take advantage of her. It's a really sad situation. I am going to be coming to you guys doing some short content about Wendy being exploited, give you a little bit more information on who that man is. Britney Spears, Arian Curry. I'm doing shorts, guys. So if you see me put out a short, definitely click on it and like it. I really appreciate it. It helps my channel. I look at my analytics and I can see that you guys are liking it. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. Maybe I'll do Beverly Hills tomorrow for those of you guys who are accustomed to me doing it right after the show. This one was too crazy for me not to. Like the video on your way out. I'm going to play my song, Trent. And I was fun. I appreciate it.
Big moves.
That's me.
Surfer. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams.
Bye, y'all.